Okay. Hi, my name is Bérénice. I'm gonna try to do my best with English. I'm happy to that I managed to be here today with you. So my main practice is textile and mainly weaving. So I do weaving as with manual looms and also digital looms when I also use manual and digital, so programming and also manual weaving. But I have other just wooden looms in my atelier and stuff like that. And I also like to create looms for people to use. So this was an installation at the Centre Pompidou Metz in the east of France, which was it was like linked to an exhibition about video games actually, but it was representing a screen, like the RGB pixel of a screen, but with a like manual loom, like frame loom. So you had the warp threads, which are the vertical ones, and people would weave the weft threads. And when they were weaving, it was creating sound because it was connected to a controller, a microcontroller. So that was an interactive piece that was there. And I also do weavings. So this is like a jacquard weaving. So this one, it was like, so I wove it actually on like the other direction. Which is 1,320 thread warp loom. And this is jacquard. So jacquard, I think many people know here, but it's you can control all of the threads of the warp individually. And this you can control with a program, but you also need to be knowing how to weave to do it, because it's you're still weaving. And it used to be with punch cards. So this was a series of weavings. This is like 1 meter 20 or something like that. And it's, I imagine a community of hacking weavers hidden in the woods that would send each other secret messages. And she's representing the mokosh, which is a Slavic figure of weaving. It's more like the mother of weaving, but she's more like a bit cybery. So cryptology, cryptography, and steganography, I started to look at how to actually hide messages or like poetry into weavings. And so cryptology is the science of studying secret messages. Cryptography is the act of writing secret messages, and you need the other person to have the key. And then steganography is you can hide in sound or visual messages, and it's not necessarily visible for the people that see it, but then they are like, for example, in visual, it's like you have some pixels that change and stuff, and you have a tons of programs that do it also nowadays, but I wanted to invent a kind of way to do steganography, so it's quite personal. This weaving, for example, I have it here, so I'm going to pass it around. But it's basically representing the lighthouse of a place in the west of France that is called Notre-Dame-des-Landes. So it's like a resisting place where they resisted against the construction of airports, and still people live there. That I've been visiting there a few times, and I wanted to hide the poem of Susan Sachs, that was activist, and she was asked by some FBI agent to give the names of her other women in her network. So that's what she replied. Who calls the roots work to resist, and what clandestine hand inscribe the coded message in the seed? Who masterminds the spider's web and plans the strategy of the weed? It's like a whole poem. It's quite hard to find even online, but there has been like a translation also in French, so that's how I got to find it. And in the textile that I'm gonna show around, there is like different zones of the fabric where there is like the first letter of the words of the poem, which an alphabet that I invented. But so I'm gonna try to. Oh, I'm gonna try to shoot here. So here you have like different zones with different symbols. So they are creating the contrast. And yeah, I'm just gonna. Sorry, just for. No, I mean you can. So you have like different zones of the fabric which have a different pattern, and each pattern is actually a letter. So you can, I mean, I'm gonna pass it around and you can see better. So these are the letters that are the first letters of the words of the poem. So yeah, I have like. You can use
There's a glass magnifier that's going around with it for those people online.
I was like looking for more like microscopic camera, and then I was like, actually, just like glass magnifier is gonna be. Yeah. So one of the reasons why I started to wonder how to hide messages was because my grandfather was a cryptologist, and I'm not a cryptologist, but I textile craft, so I wanted to know how this has been used. And there have been like stories of textiles just sent to each other during the wars to like hide messages, and like jerseys were actually forbidden to be sent because they were like binary messages that were hidden in them. But it's like there is really little information, because obviously it's this like really crafty woman-y thing, which is actually great, I think. And so my grandfather was a Polish cryptologist, and during the Second World War he was decoding the Enigma machine with a team that was brought from Poland to France, actually. In a way, unfortunately, they didn't come to the UK because the story then went pretty bad for them. But the advances that they made on the Enigma machine, so which was this machine on the left, which is a writing machine where you type a letter, it's another letter that comes up, and then but you type the same letter, it's another one again, so it constantly changes. I mean, many of you know the story, and you had rotors, which are the things on the top that you see, that they added, like the Nazis added more and more during the war, which made it more difficult and more combinations possible, because they were like changing the combinations. So my grandfather was basically like crafting these machines, and also he was like 18 when he came to France to do that. And it became a bit public in the 70s that Rejewski was the one that actually decoded Enigma and then passed the information to Alan Turing. But nowadays it's like trying to, we're having these informations that were kind of hidden for a while and then just reappear, but it's like a constant kind of archiving and meeting people that are related to that. But also because I think nowadays it can be inspiring for like what's the situation in the world. And yeah, so what I started to think about was that I compared the Enigma machine and the jacquard that I was using. Many people say it's crazy, but look, like it's like you had this like, so on top it's the Enigma machine with the bomba on the left, which were mainly used by women. Actually, here I wrote down a writer, Elsa Boyer, that is a philosopher from France, and she wrote about a gender relationship to Bletchley Park and Alan Turing. story. And so apart from showing reproduced work, gendered hierarchy that was happening at Bletchley Park, where women were realizing more repetitive tasks than men, that Elsa Boyer highlights in her biography about Turing, it also shows the craft of repetition that was occurring. And obviously the number of people you need, because like my grandfather was in a team of like maybe 10 people, and at Bletchley Park, where I went a few days ago, actually, there were like 600, like, I don't know, 700, 600 women, actually, like young as well. So this was the time that people were actually machines, basically, or like programs, and with the Colossus, etc. And so here I represented the Zygalki sheets on the right, which was at the step of when the Polish were doing more like crafty things with the Enigma and making them themselves. So I know my grandfather was like punching the holes by himself. Then it became more industrial, let's say, when it got to Bletchley Park and stuff. And it really looks like the kind of punch cards from the Jacquard, the old Jacquard looms, and this in the middle is like a draft, which looks more like what you use for drafting textile still, which is like pretty much coding. Like, so I imagine like, okay, what would be a loom? This is a drawing I'm making, but the machine doesn't exist yet. But what if a loom could have rotors that could change the order of the threads, and then we would be able to change the pixel of the weavings like that. But for now, I didn't make this machine. It's just in my head. But I was thinking of an alphabet that could make me hide codes in the construction and the patterns. So that's what you see in the weaving, which are these little symbols that you actually can't really perceive like how they look like, but it's actually like on the screen you can see it better. So for example, this was the letter A, and then there's like a whole alphabet, and the letter A was coming from, it's like a more personal journey of places that were representing resistance. And this one was at the place where my grandfather was hidden in the south of France before they got caught by the Nazis. And this is what the picture I took looked like, and this is the simplified version, and here it's more like the binary code, so like indicating where the thread goes up or down. And then here it's like the repetitive one. So what you see on the fabric is actually like the pattern repeated. Yeah. So this is an alphabet, the first alphabet that I made out of this idea. And I also have one because then I started to ask people about other alphabets of other places. And so each letter is a symbol, and then it's the repeated representation here. So I wanted to try something here, which is basically, so you will see that my use of a computer is mainly to weave and administrative tasks. So let's see how this is going. Okay. So here I have the draft of fabric on a Dobby loom, which is less complicated than a Jacquard loom, but still I can control it with a computer, just the different frames where the warp threads are connected to. So here you have the 24 heddles. The vocabulary is right. And then here I just invented this way of making the weft, so the thread. This is what I'm weaving manually, basically. And here it's how I set up the loom. So here I was looking at, like, I don't know anything about Sheffield, sorry, but obviously it has a big story. And I was looking at this Paradise Square that could be representing a place of resistance, because I've seen like there've been a lot of political things happening there. So what if this was a symbol and I was representing it here? So I started to like draw a little bit. I don't have much time, so I'm just gonna do it like very quickly here. And this is like, I would rather have you do this, but normally I have people like drawing their own symbols and then I weave them in a performance. And then last time in Germany, I gave the fabric to the spot. And then if I take, for example, this image and I put it in SSTV, it's gonna be a bit loud maybe, so if it's, and then I import it in this slow scan TV, which sends radio waves, short radio waves, that is like translating an image, like each line of an image into a radio signal. I imagine, okay, we can send each other these like patterns of weaving, and then we send each other the actual real weaving in order to hide messages and send it to community. I'm like open if you have ideas how to, but this sound, this like the sound is gonna be a bit terrible, but so now it's like translating. Voilà. I also brought this textile that is like the last piece I made. I'm not gonna turn it around because it's like it's recently made, but it's the symbols of places in Trier, so in west of Germany. Sorry, it's in the west of Germany. So I can put it here, and people can come closer also at the end if they want, so that you have a better idea of the alphabet. Is it okay on the floor? Yes. Are you sure? Yeah, I think so. Voilà. Thank you.
Thank you. Let me just check the time. We've got a few minutes for questions. Does anybody have a question they would like to, or feedback or thoughts? Yeah.
Yeah, that was bloody incredible, like amazing. Thank you so much. Is this like ham radio software? Like
yeah, so my friend Adriana Knuf shared with me this program, which I'm like really a kid looking at it. I have like basic knowledge about it. Yeah. But yeah, it's like a shortwave radio signal, and it's like amateur radio. Yeah. So it was like to send like one image of a TV one by one that they translated into radio signals. Yeah, so.
Any other questions from the audience? I've not actually checked online. Is there anything online? Okay.
Or comments or anything?
When your granddad got captured by the Nazis, what was the outcome?
The outcome?
Of his capture?
He didn't die because I'm here. But so yeah, he survived, and the outcome is like huh? No, they didn't escape. They just waited. No, they potentially had to do like some work there. And the rest of the team that he was with, they both died there. And he was like the youngest, so I think that's how he survived. And also he knew many languages, so I think he was kind of like, he used to be like, you know, like a spy, so he was just there like, But yeah, he escaped from a bombing like 50 meters away from him, so that's, yeah. And we are working on the documentary with a Polish director that lives in New York, and he was interested about this interlink. story, because it's like I have like everything I learn is from, I don't know, going somewhere, meeting people, and because he was not sharing anything about it, now he died, and my mom was also interested, but she died as well, so it's like just meeting, like I actually met Dermot Turing like a few days ago at Bletchley Park, because like I'm still interested, like he never went to Bletchley Park actually, but there were like a lot of links, so it's, and there was a book there that I was happy to see that my mom helped giving images when I was a kid, and the book is like sold at Bletchley Park. So even though the Polish are still like not really talked about, there is still things about it. Yeah.
I think we've got one more question.
Thank you so much for the great talk. And now that you know how to, or that you have the power for encryption, what is your biggest dream or project, the most ambitious thing that have happened in your mind to encrypt?
That's like a big question. Like right now I've been going to lots of communities because I'm kind of looking for community of hackers, and I think like I'm hacking in a way that, you know, I don't know if it would save a war, but so like I would love to, I don't know, I'm not thinking like, okay, the war needs to be tomorrow, but I don't know, just like, yeah, create a community and be able to like connect to others, and that's why I'm like going from one community to another to see how we share this knowledge and how we can, if something happens, we can communicate. That's a bit like, yeah, a dream. Yeah, I mean that would be great. For now, I'm writing with weavings basically, so I'm like, but I also like to write. So maybe. I also do performances, and actually now we're gonna do a exhibition in Poland because they opened a museum about Enigma 3 years ago. Which is pretty new in Poznan in the west, and so it took time because it's quite like scientific and stuff, but they were wanting to have a more artistic exhibition, so we're gonna do that in November with performances as well and archives and stuff, and yeah, just being able to continue and share with others. I also teach, so I think that's like a really good thing, because then I have all of my little like textile hackers that I can just like, and then I'm like, okay, so how do you hide something? And I'm like, oh, I use Morse code, and I'm like, oh, great.
Great, thank you so much, Bérénice.
Thank you.